Greetings, comrade, and welcome to the Eastern Border. Now, this is a breather episode, which is the next one I'm gonna make is gonna be about how Igor Girkin has basically destroyed the Club of Angry Patriots and about things in the front. By the way, journalists are not exactly allowed in the front anymore. But today I want to do a breather episode for you guys because my local media has asked me to do a thing on, English Premier League. Since I love football, the thing is, this year, after 4 games already, and we're going into international break where countries are going to play, this is a shit show. Therefore, I wrote an article in Latvian, and then I decided that might as well translate it to English and release this as a breather episode. Because why not at this point? Because, we spent today watching football, American football. I was introduced to this fine sport of yours, dear American listeners, and I just thought it might be useful. Sometimes I need a breather as well. But here you go. I'm going to go and explain why and how everything's happening because, one of my football boards that I sit on, well, not boards, but Discord channels, is Half Hope's Football Hut. And he makes YouTube videos as well. Really cool dude. I like him a lot. And over there, the general consensus is that everything's doomed. And this whole season is cursed by a witch doctor from, mysterious place where random things happen and lightning strikes like every day or something. This is probably one of the most interesting and cursed seasons, which is about to unfold, that you could imagine. And not because it's not about who's going to win. No. Everyone already knows that. It's going to be Man City. Manchester City, they're just going to win. I think they're going to be declared winners by April. They're going to achieve 90 points or something, which is a lot, by the way. I'm not going to explain how Premier League works for you, but, you can Google this one up. But I'm just going to explain to you why you should follow it. But Man City is going to win. They have Erling Haaland, who's a monster of a goal machine. He can't be stopped. Nothing's going to stop him. Man City is going to win for 4th year in a row, unless Tottenham somehow manages to do something. But Man City is fine. Because, I'm going to throw out the clubs that are doing fine because all the fun here is, like I said, not about who's going to win, but about who's not going to get relegated. Because currently, if you look at the list, at this point, I'd say there are 12 teams competing about who's going to get into the last 3 places. Okay, realistically, it's only 6 teams, but still, the mid-table is gone. It's either you're doing fine-ish or you're just horrible. Everything is horrible, therefore it's fun. And it's only been 4 games all this season. So, like I said, let's get the teams that are out of the way. Man City. Pep Guardiola last year won the treble, which means he won the FA Cup, he won the league, he won the European Champions League. They have won 4 out of their 4 last games. I do not think that they're going to lose anything. Their next game is against us, which I mentioned, West Ham. But they'll find they're going to win the league. No questions asked. I'm going to go through the league table from the top to bottom, and I'm going to stay on the teams that are important too. Tottenham Hotspur, the club that has one of the big 6 clubs that don't ever win anything. Well, they have won Audi Cup. Oh no. Basically, they are the guys who are really, really good, but they don't get trophies. They're the guys that you kind of, cheered for if you're a masochist. Thing is, Harry Kane, their lead striker, has just left for Bayern Munich. We're not touching Bundesliga right now, but they're looking better than ever. They're actually fighting, competing, and they're in the second spot. They're having a good season so far. Pretty good. Liverpool's boring. Liverpool's 3rd. They have great squad depth. Mo Salah, their chief guy, just refused to going to the Saudi League for 200 million, since, everyone goes to Saudi League these days. They're also fine. Then there's West Ham, currently looking at league table. That's my club. I'm very surprised because we have 10 points. We have 3 wins and a tie from 4 games. Last season, it took us 15 games to get 10 points. Right now, we have it in 4, but we also won the Conference League last season. And, we're just happy that we're doing well. Moyes ball is working. We're lucky. We have some really good signings. We have Ward-Prowse and we have Kudus. We have a bunch of good stuff going on for us. I think this might be a good season. We might actually, fight for being 5th or something. We're not going to get top 4, obviously. We're not going to win the league. I'm not deluded. But we might qualify for Europa League where we're fighting. West Ham's fine because we're lucky and we're much better than we used to be previously. That's awesome. 5th currently in league table is Arsenal. Arsenal were the title runners-up last season, and they are really good. Arteta, their head coach, very good, talented. They have a really good squad. They lack consistency because they managed to lose points. Basically, they got a tie with Fulham. But otherwise, yeah, they beat Manchester United today. They're fine. They're also one of the very few teams that are okay. And the 6th team that's doing fine is Brighton. Brighton is talented. Brighton did wonders last year. They're also in Europa League together with us. They got there because of their league results. We got there because we won the Conference League. Brighton has 3 wins and a loss, and they lost only to us. And they lost in a game which was amazing because West Ham beat them at their home, at their American Express Stadium, no less. And we hadn't done it since the history of Premier League. We had lost 13 years in a row over there. Either I think it was 7 losses, 6 ties, or some stuff like that. We beat them. Like I said, we're having an amazing season, good signings, everything. So West Ham is pretty well right now. Of course, I fully believe us to collapse as well because this is truly a cursed season. But so far, we're good. So this is the top 6 for you. The teams that actually have nothing much to worry about, at least from the current results. We, West Ham, are the least likely to stay up there. But I believe in Moyes. He might do something. It's going to be fine. Brighton probably going to go above us. Realistically, I'd say Arsenal and Tottenham are fighting for a title with Man City, but Man City is going to win. We're just there, enjoying the fact that we're not losing and that we're not in total shambles, because once we get down to the bottom of the table, oh boy, it's going to be fun. But right now, teams that are doing there's Brentford. Brentford hasn't kicked in their second season syndrome. They're number 8. I'll talk about 7th, Crystal Palace, later. But Brentford, they did pretty well last year. They were okay. I mean, they didn't sign anyone in this transfer window. Like, in European football, we have this thing called transfer windows. Basically, all throughout the year, you can't change your players, and there's like a window where you can in between the seasons. And in the middle of the season, they sign nobody. They're the definition of meh, and Crystal Palace are 7th. Brentford haven't hit their second season syndrome. Their signings were mostly okay. Brentford have 3 ties and a win. Again, 7th and 8th place, Crystal Palace and Brentford are just doing things. But now that's out of the way. Let's get to the interesting part, because from 9th place to 20th, which is like 20 teams in the league, all of them have quite a good chances of being relegated, maybe except 2 teams. Out of these 12 that are in the bottom half starting like 9th position, which is actually top, but like from 9th to 20th, we have some oddities, but I think only teams that everyone's in shambles basically. 9th place, Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest last year only was when they returned to Premier League. They were in the Championship before, and they have only won 2 games in a way in these 2 seasons. 2. One of them was against Southampton, which got relegated, by the way, totally. They were in shambles. And their second win, believe it or not, was against Chelsea. Very little known club, but we'll get to Chelsea later on. Chelsea is a shit show. Chelsea is actually in a relegation battle. They might not approve of this, but they recently won the Champions League a couple of years ago. Right now, oh my God, they're dead. Well, Nottingham Forest were congratulated for their win away from home. They put up a good fight against Manchester United, but only because Man United are just horrible. But they're 9th. That doesn't mean they're safe. They're probably going to get relegated anyways, because it's just a mess. They have done some good transfers. They have 2 wins, 2 losses. Though their 2 wins come in interesting ways. Again, they managed to beat Chelsea 1-0, which was just something that was extremely confusing. And then they also won Sheffield. They've been putting up a good fight, like I said, but they're not safe at all. Then there's Aston Villa. Aston Villa is 10th, but they're just unlucky. They have good chances of sticking around. They're really improved their play this year. They'll be fine, I think. So Aston Villa is one of the clubs that's going to be okay-ish. And then we come to the real shocking things that, if even you Americans, you must have heard about this. Aston Villa is just, again, a bit more boring, but on the downside, and they haven't used their chances. That's about it. Nottingham Forest just overdid themselves and pushed Chelsea down. But then we come to Manchester United. Man United currently have 2 losses and 2 wins. The problem is they have lost 2-0 to Tottenham. And today they lost 3-1 to to Arsenal. Yep, whenever they see someone who's actually strong, they manage to lose horribly. Their 2 wins are against Wolverhampton Wanderers, aka Wolves, and against Nottingham Forest. Both of these wins were really shabby. Wolves did, but I'll talk about this when I'll get to Wolves. But Wolves basically should have been awarded a penalty. Weren't. Man United were horrible in that game. They just got lucky. And Nottingham Forest, well, Nottingham Forest went up 2-0 against Man United, and then they got a red card, and Man United played back. It was just bizarre. But those 2 wins mean nothing. It could have been like four losses for Man United. Manchester United under Ten Hag, something's gone wrong, and they're horrible. But at least they have chances because, they care. But currently they're 11th. That's the thing. You normally don't see Manchester United being so low. And, they have odds of improving. The club that is the most shocking situation of them all is the 12th place, which is Chelsea. Oh boy, Chelsea. Where do we even start with Chelsea this year? Problem is, in the league, Chelsea haven't really gotten a lot of anything going for them. They're not doing well. And Chelsea has made more signings than they have had wins in the last year. Okay? It's horrible. They have so many signings which are all new players because the new guy who owns the club, he's American. They used to be run by, of course, Abramovich, but Abramovich got put under sanctions. So then he had to sell the club. Then he sold the club, which he loved and had invested lots of money in. I managed to speak with him as well. It was an interesting story about their business choices. But Chelsea is now run by Americans who treat it as a kind of like Spotify. Spotify in the sense that the club makes no money. It's all about brand. It's all about milking the brand. It's all about total business. Because as far as I know, these American owners of this club treat it like, a cash cow with zero love for football. They have hired and signed up ridiculous amounts of players. Like stupid amounts of players. Like I said, they have more players than wins. And they're horrible. They are so bad. They managed to beat Luton Town, which is unsurprising because Luton Town barely even has a stadium. And we'll get to Luton Town's good story, how they managed to get the Premier League later on, because they're in a way bottom. But they lost to us, West Ham, 3-1. They played tie with Liverpool. Couldn't beat them either. Liverpool's having a pretty good season. And then they lost to Nottingham Forest 1-0. If you look up Chelsea-Nottingham Forest game, you'll see how all the Chelsea fans are raving, but the problem is that they still think Chelsea is the great club that it used to be, which it is not. But it won't stop fans from crying. The same with, by the way, Manchester United. They also think they're pretty good. It is horrible. Chelsea is going probably down, and like I said, this is the relegation battle territory. If Aston Villa and Manchester United are probably not going to get relegated, Nottingham Forest is fighting for it. Chelsea is in a relegation battle at this point. Because you can't really do anything if you sign 20, 30? More than 30 players. They've spent $1 billion. I think even in billion euros, maybe even pounds, insane amounts of money during last year. They have no hope. Pochettino is their trainer, their coach. And everything's going horrible. They're not going to get any points soon. But the problem is that, again, Manchester United are just as horrible. Nottingham Forest are just lucky, and they just got the win against Chelsea, and they're about to, be in a relegation battle anyways. And this is just the 12th spot. We have so many teams that are about to suffer. Next after them is Fulham. They didn't go last season. They're suffering a massive second season syndrome. They managed to get a win and 2 losses and a tie. Their tie was against Arsenal, no less, which is the game where Arsenal lost points. But they managed to beat Everton. Everton, however, is a sad story, as we're going to get to them. But Fulham is suffering from second season syndrome, and no one expects them to be good at all, because everyone says they're going to be safe, but they don't look very, very inspiring. Then, under them in 14th spot, we have Newcastle. Newcastle is extra fun, since they were bought by Saudi Arabians. Oh yeah, Manchester City, by the way, is owned by Qataris. It's all, or maybe UAE, sorry. One of those Arab teams, because Arabian countries tend to own football clubs these days, if you didn't notice and, haven't been following. The problem is Newcastle, they haven't been spending that much. They're doing fine. They managed to beat Aston Villa 5-1. Then they lost to Man City. Then they lost. Then they lost to Liverpool. Then they lost to Brighton. They're not doing that fine despite their winnings. Brighton just shocked them with the result because Newcastle were like they're in European Champions League this season. They were really up last time, and they're owned by the Saudi government, and they have like 1 win and 3 losses, which is just outright silly. And Newcastle need to shape up because apparently their transfer and everything, all the money they threw in, well, it's almost as bad as Chelsea, except they still have some hope. Chelsea at this point, Chelsea I would say has no hope. I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be awful. Like I said, all this season is cursed and everything's horrible. Now, things that are even more sad than that. Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Wolves, they're 15th. The thing with them is that they used to be quite good. They used to basically be the farm club for Portuguese national team, since they basically only hired Portuguese players and everything, but most of them left. And their manager, he left 2 days before the season even started because they were so bad in their preseason games that there was no hope for them. They have managed to struggle on. They also have a single win against Everton. That should tell you something about Everton, because they should have done well by Man United, but they're in shambles. They're in financial trouble. They are going like horribly bad. That club, they managed to get relegated and then they got back up. Oh no, sorry, that's Sheffield. Same thing basically. Wolves did that just a bit earlier. They were relegated. They got back up. Then their club management got into a mess. They got involved into fair play rules. By the way, Brentford has also lost one of their top players due to how everyone was involved in kind of a betting scandal, and their guy just got thrown out. So that's unfun for them. But Wolverhampton Wanderers, I think they're about to go down. There is Bournemouth. We're getting to the teams from 16th to 20th, which is 5 teams, which have like 0 wins. Bournemouth, second season syndrome. They stayed up last season. Right now, they're horrible and in shambles, and I don't know what's going to happen. Their transfer window is way horrible than anyone expected. Then in the 17th, I honestly say somehow, because I didn't believe they would be like up against anything. By the way, Bournemouth to 20th place doesn't have any points. 17th are Sheffield United, the Blades. Problem with Blades is that they are in the situation that Wolves were previously. They were relegated 2 years ago, got their parachute payments, went back up, but they lost some of their best players. They couldn't afford heating for their stadium. They are in ridiculous shambles, and their team right now is weaker than what got them promoted back up to Premier League. Everyone expected that they're going to be 20th, completely 20th, like stupid low, but they're 17th, 1 spot above relegation, only because the teams below them are even worse. This is the year when you can look up until, I'd say, 9th place, Nottingham Forest, currently in the table 9th, and these guys might get relegated. I think Aston Villa and Man United are pretty safe, Newcastle as well, but we have a massive relegation battle, which is normally 5 teams, struggling not to be in the last 3. Right now we have, I'd say about 10, maybe 11 teams. And again, sorry guys from HH Football Hut, because I'll post this over there as well. I'm just explaining things for, basically people who don't even know how football works, and using my Latvian article as basis for this. And now we get to the really sad parts. And no, I'm not going to come back to Chelsea, although Chelsea is very, very sad and horrible right now. But then we come to Everton. Oh boy, Everton. The problem is they're horrible. They have no one that strikes goals in there. Everton have been struggling to be above relegation for years now. The thing with Everton is that they are also the only club that hasn't been relegated. I mean, from the Premier League, that is. They used to be pretty big. Technically, this thing, Everton, it was a founding member of the whole Football League in 1888. And they have competed in top division like most than anyone else. The record, 121 seasons in the top flight of football. They missed only 4 top flight seasons, but that was back in the day. Like last time they weren't in the top flight was Well, they missed 1930-1931 season, and then they weren't competing in the top flight from 51 to 54. That's it. They're super old, they're super famous and everything. They have the insane presence there. And they've won 9 league titles, 5 FA Cups, 1 European Cup Winners' Cup, and 9 Charity Shields, which no one cares about. But the problem is that the Toffees are in a bad position. They are led by Sean Dyche, who is supposed to be a master of not getting relegated, because they've been suffering for years now, and I think if they get relegated, they might go bankrupt. They're fighting for their lives and their existence, and it's going to be pretty horrible. Because this year, I think, they have chances of staying up, but only because everyone else is horrible. But Everton, they can't score goals. Like, if you watch Everton versus Wolves, I don't know, that's 3 points. So Everton's bad. And they're 18th. Then there's Luton Town. Luton Town's a fairy tale story. That's Disney Plus. Straight up. Luton Town managed to get from the 5th tier of English football to the first one in 10 years or something, which is a massive achievement. It's their first season in Premier League, back up against insane amounts of years. Their stadium is tiny, like the tiniest one, and you literally have to walk through someone's garden to get to it. And people make jokes about respect other people's baths and whatnot. Everyone really hopes that they're going to stay up, but they won't. But we because it's a fairy tale story for them even getting to the Premier League. I mean, it's a club which ends with Luton Town. So, but they have lost their games. I hope they win something, because they're rough. They haven't lost by a wipeout that much. They have shown some resistance, but they're total garbage. They're not. They just lack some quality there. There's Burnley in 20th. Even below Luton Town. Burnley managed to get promoted up again last year, and they won the championship. Everyone put good hopes on them, that they're gonna have a strong team, they're gonna achieve something, but they haven't. They have messed up, and now they're on the bottom, and not gonna. It doesn't seem that they're gonna get up until they change something really bad. But then again, who knows? Who knows? This is where the fun part of this comes in. Because Burnley, they failed in the transfer market. It was horrible. And they're dead last right now. But if you think about this, let me check through all this list. This season's a mess. We have, realistically, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm giving 8 teams because I don't count Aston Villa, Man United, and Newcastle for relegation. But, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, Wolverhampton, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Everton, Luton, and Burnley are all the relegation zone, realistically. Even though Chelsea is above, say, Newcastle, I think, is going to get things in order. It's horrific. Normally, there would be 5 teams. We have 8, which is a lot. Everyone knows who's going to win the league already, but the whole mess is insane. All the teams, the quality has gone down. People who have hopes not to get relegated are only there because the whole level is just so bad. It's just awful. And West Ham used to be bad, but we're doing good. Brighton is really fine. Crystal Palace are going to finish 12th. They always finish 12th. Everything else is total mess. Clubs that are supposed to be really good are not. Clubs that are 3/4 of the league, okay? 3/4 of the league are either massively underachieving or being extremely horrible. This is why this is such a fun season. Man City is going to win. Tottenham is going to have a great season. Liverpool probably as well, and Arsenal. Us, West Ham, and Brighton, we're going to fight for the 5th spot. And then Man United are probably going to try to do something because everything's horrible for them. Meanwhile, there's a massive massive injury thing. 4 players already are gone on injuries in the preseason. Everything's just because of the amount of games played. Like I said, this league is going crazy because money has taken over too many clubs. We have clubs owned by foreign governments out there. We have clubs whose owners are now treating them as a business, and they used to be big clubs and massive brands. And they're not even trying that hard. Then we have smaller clubs who manage to screw up in the transfer market. Then we have we have nonsense happening all over the place. We have we have massive amounts of injuries, finances, people treating Premier League less than a sport, more than more than just a business, and the business that they're buying cheap players. I'm talking about Chelsea, of course, because that's the biggest tragedy here. They're buying up players just to slap a brand name on them and sell them off later with zero system, zero tactics, zero kind of even respect for anything that's happened there. All this is just a mess. And if you're a Chelsea fan, well, I'm really sorry for you. Bram would not be happy. And realistically, even, by the way, if I come to think of it, even Man United, I mean, they have to play against a bunch of teams, and I think they'll stay up, but only because, like, any team that stays up is going to stay up only because everyone else was just so horrible. And this is the league where you really don't want to get relegated, because then you get kicked out of the league. Again, explaining this to my American listeners who probably don't know how this works. You get relegated down to the championship level. And over there, everything's worse and you don't get enough money. And a lot of people, since they're in massive amounts of debt, a lot of these clubs, they might just go bankrupt. So they're fighting for their survival. And this year, because, fighting for the title is always fun. But, in American football, for example, if you end up dead last, the only thing you get is a number 1 draft pick. Here, you get thrown out of the league and you might go bankrupt. So top clubs are fighting for glory, bottom clubs are fighting for survival. And this year's survival fight is about 9, maybe 10 clubs who are going to fight for just staying up there. Everyone else is trying to do something. Maybe not doing so well, but we're seeing a massive thing where normally the most fun part would be about who wins. We all know who's going to win. There's a title race for the optimists in Tottenham and Arsenal, maybe even Liverpool. But neither of these teams are going to win. No one's going to stop Man City at all. But it's about how bad can you get? How horrible can Manchester United be? How horrible can Chelsea be? What are Luton Town doing, and Sheffield United and Everton and Bournemouth and Burnley and Bournemouth? What are they doing up even in the league? It's not a race to the top. It's not a race about who wins. It's a race about how can you stay up, because you're horrible and you can just lose every game, but you just have to lose by. Currently, we're in a situation where 5 teams have 0 points, and their positions are determined by goal difference. So it's not even a race about to win a game. It's a race about how about we just try to lose less goals than other teams. It's to the point where I think Everton, they don't even want to win. They just want to lose less goals than, say, Burnley or Sheffield United. And that's just amazing, because this season is going to be if you're a sports fan, right? Ignore the top end of the table. It doesn't matter. Man City's going to win. Look at the bottom table. Pick your favorite team of the utter garbage that we have 8 teams in a row. Pick one of these guys and root for them, because I don't even know. I think someone from second Bundesliga or second Serie A could come in and probably beat Everton or Sheffield United or something like that. It's horrible. And that's the fun part. This is why I'm explaining all this situation and why I was asked to write this article. Because we hadn't had such a season where there's so much on the line for ages. Normally, you probably know who's going to be in a title race, a couple of teams out there, lately just Man City. But in the bottom, probably the clubs that got promoted, it was pretty clear cut. This season, after 4 games, it's turned out to be such a horrible mess that there must be a curse on this whole thing. And, hey, if your season ends out there where you live in the United States, probably, or Australia or something, switch on to Premier League, follow some news, because, like I said, this year, it's not about who wins. It's about who manages to lose by lesser amount. And if they don't, they might go bankrupt. This is the football equivalent of the most prestigious league, basically going down. Half of the team are just doing bum fights. And it is the silliest event ever. And it's extremely fun because we have manager problems. We have all sorts of issues. It's horrific. It is pretty bad. And I invite all of you, because of this breather episode, to check out what's happening if you haven't already. Like I said, very short intro, and guys on the HH forums, HH Discord, they know all this stuff. So, but if you don't, well, hope that I gave you an intro to the Premier League and why it's fun to watch this crash and burn. It's going to be awful. So bad. I love it. But yeah, we're going to be back with Ukraine news and some, Russian news, because again, my buddy Igor Girkin's still in prison, and Club of Angry Patriots are out, and there are rumors about who's going to be the next one to die. Oh boy. Back to the horrific, painful, quite damaging stuff. But yeah, as usual, до свидания, товарищ, and as always, remember, happiness is mandatory. Oh, by the way, and please, if you want to support the show, you can just go to our Patreon, thanks to our patrons, to patreon.com/theeasternborder, or just click the donate button on our webpage, theeasternborder.lv. We don't talk about sports normally. We're a politics, history, news show, just in case you guys from the football world are listening to this stuff. But, yeah. Dear Americans, it's going to be amazing this year. You have a reason to learn about European football. Or, I'm not going to mention the S word, obviously. But again, bye-bye, folks. And до свидания, товарищи.